Hey everyone, I'm back here with Steve, Certified Master Inspector with Admirable Inspection Services. Today we're going to talk a little bit about asbestos. Take the floor, Steve.
Fair enough.
More than I do.
So, you know what, asbestos. I actually met a realtor very recently here on a commercial inspection. Again, I had seen her not long ago. I moved a ceiling tile, vermiculite insulation comes pouring down all over my head. I'm very frustrated, a little annoyed. Some electricians went and did some work boring through the wall to find vermiculite. Vermiculite can very commonly contains asbestos. In the end, asbestos test came back. It actually was not an asbestos containing vermiculite. So, hey, hooray! I'll breathe another day. Yeah. But asbestos is certainly a serious factor. Mesothelioma is a very common disease that can come as a result. Asbestos era in North America is where the biggest confusion comes into play. So, general rule of thumb, 1930s construction to 1990s construction is the asbestos era. Meaning that a home built in 1930 may not have asbestos in it, but you're probably pretty safe to say there's been some renovation work or some repair in that home over the years. So if we look at that year time frame of that 60-year span of that home's life, which is a significant amount of time, what if you put some new funky disco tiles in 1970 because you wanted that very popping look, right? There's lots of factors. Ceiling tiles, ducting insulation, floor products, wall products, drywall muds, compounds. There's so many different things that contain asbestos that we have to follow that rule of thumb based on years. No one can typically walk into a home or a building and say that is, that isn't, because we don't know without an actual laboratory test. It's much like mold, we go to the lab for everything. We have some general common sense on insulation products, particular types of tiles, which are very obviously to potentially contain asbestos, but we still have to go to do that inspection process and get the lab results. In the city of Edmonton, if you want to do let's say you're building an infill right now, anything older than 1990, you must submit an asbestos assessment on that home prior to demolition. Without an asbestos assessment, you could be exposing all your neighbors and all your whole neighborhood to asbestos, right? So there's certainly factors that have to be watched. I tell the same thing. I've had some great conversations with some contacts at the city of Edmonton in the building offices, and the rule of thumb that should always be followed, even under a major renovation permit, is an asbestos assessment anything older than 1990.
Wow.
So we have to expect asbestos until we prove otherwise within a certain year range.
If you hear that there's some asbestos in the building, is that like a red flag to run away from buying that residence?
No, you certainly don't need to run away from it, but you certainly have to think about some things as well. I've had customers that have bought homes with asbestos abatement a part of their plan on buying that home, where they will ultimately send a crew through that home, pull all asbestos containing products out of that home, put new drywall up, because that's what they want. On the other hand, I can provide you with a ton of verbiage from Health Canada that talks to you about how to seal up an attic and how to protect things when we have vermiculite insulation that does contain asbestos and what should be done. But there also is things that we have to consider. We have to be cognizant as homeowners of the fact that we can't just start hammering nails in walls and throwing up asbestos fibers into the air either. So yes, we have all lived in a home probably with asbestos. You probably have before you moved to Alberta at Mom and Dad's. I probably lived in my parents' home that was built in the 60s that probably has asbestos all over it still to this day. But again, we don't know unless we test, right?
And it's not an issue unless you disturb it, right?
To an extent, yes. So when we talk about disturbing it, a good example is HVAC companies. HVAC companies will come in, a lot of them offer duct cleaning, or we'll see duct cleaning companies specifically. Yeah. Most of these companies, even with insulation wrap on the outside of the duct, because it's so dry and kind of gets caked on, so to speak, over the years of life, they can't do a duct cleaning that creates vibration, shakes up the ducting, because now we can start throwing all that insulation outside off as a fiber. So we're not disturbing the product specifically, but our actions are disturbing it, right? Nailing in walls, cutting holes, electricians, entering the attic. There's certainly things that have to change, and I mean, we're always learning about things that are health hazards that are not necessarily known to us at the time we buy them.
Of course.